Hello, everybody. Welcome to Hamster's Hobby Hang Starforged edition. We finally have some DF pieces on the Hobby Hang. I'm excited. Let's get some tunes going. The artist that we always play on Hobby Hang is a friend of Chris. Her name's Amy Waters, and she's provided some music for some of the Starforged materials. That's my understanding. That's pretty cool. Know her well here at Hobby Hang. Welcome, welcome all. I've been sitting here blow drying primer, so you won't have to do that with your factory pieces. But yeah, how are you? How you feeling following the campaign and everything? I've been excited. It's been exciting to see the response on the Discord and everything. Looking so good. I'm glad you think so. It's been fun to see everything that like video and graphics has been working on. You know, I've walked in and done some of the builds and like dressed the Wargame minis and stuff like that. So I've seen some stuff, but it's always fun to see it come together after I've had like so many pieces just come across my desk in like big batches of by the dozen. Oh, the intro one is the best. The intro video is the best that they've ever done. That was phenomenal. When they put like the GameFound page on the console piece screen, that blew my mind. That was awesome. Not to mention all the great jokes and references. Yeah, I am a big fan of the pipes. I think they can stand on their own pretty dang well. I think I've mentioned this in some of the videos and stuff, but I just love how as soon as you start adding the curves and angles, like your right angles get in there and stuff, you can make a really big footprint of a thing with a small amount of pieces where you can kind of maneuver around it in interesting ways, but it's just like an L. Or, you know, you can go all over there. Start doing wacky angles, but as soon as you get that like L shape, that's all kinds of great footprint stuff. And then of course you pull them apart and it's twice as many catwalks, so I love that. The barricade pack is great. I think you can get away with, if you want to start small, you can get away with just a catwalks pack and like a barricade pack and supplement your existing collection and whatnot. Because they're just great negative space fillers. You know, you can plop them down wherever you need a little more cover or action going on. Started painting my first terrain, mushrooms. I love that. That's a good choice too. Because you can get fun with the design, but there's not really any mistakes when it's organic, right? Hamster endorsement on packs? Yeah, I love these things. I mean, come on. The barricades are sweet. Like, you can't have enough of those, you know what I mean? The way that they can fortify, you know, get biscuited on the core, but I just love, like, as sort of the last touch, filling it out. Even these modules. This module is one of my favorite pieces. Things like that, just scatter these around, make a little pile of stuff. I love doing that. That's why, like, these two are some of my favorite pieces. Little happy mushrooms, yeah. One of the first things I ever sculpted, I'm not super confident with like green stuff and milliput and everything. But back in the day, I got a box for War Machine Hordes, and it was like the wolf, like foresty army. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about. What the heck were they called? Anyway, it was like wood elves with like beasts. and I just like made little green stuff balls and squished them a little bit to make little mushroom caps that I put on the base. And I'll always remember that fondly. I just painted them like kind of the cartoon classic, like a red with like white dots on it. I'm not even sure how many, what the exact sculpt count is at this point. There's been little things added here and there throughout like the development. Oh, weathering on the pipes? Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think you can get away with any kind of orange or even like that blue bronzy oxidization. We can go over that here. I have a pipe scheme piece. It's the ramp. Maybe we can do some of that. But first, let's get started. I don't have very much of this left, I realized, but it's my mix of this base coat of the main gray. But I'm excited to show you guys how like this actually works. Because this first step just does so much heavy lifting and it's so easy. It's literally just like a heavy base coat of deep lava. And this paint scheme is so forgiving. Like if you are on the fence of like getting unpainted because you're like nervous about painting, this is so forgiving. It's like patchy and scratchy on purpose. Yeah, at first when we started developing this paint, I thought there was no way I'm gonna dry brush because it's so flat, right? But then I thought, like, why am I thinking that? It's because I'm worried about it scratching, I'm worried about it streaking, and it's like, well, wait a minute. We're going for, like, rugged and worn. Why is that a problem? So I was like, okay, I'll just try to dry brush a piece. And all those kind of flaws of dry brushing on flat surfaces actually helped us out a bit. So forgive me, I didn't stick any primer, like, in the biscuit holes. Normally I do for the ones you see in the photos, but... yeah, so... I have some deep lava here. I'm not using a wet palette or anything, I just have this well palette. And I'm just going all over. So a little moisture on the brush. I'm basically base coating, I'm not dry brushing at all. But I'm not trying to make it opaque. So actually in this case the dark prime, and in your case the casting color being dark, is kind of going to help us. Because we don't necessarily want, like, a full-blown deep lava. Like, what else have I painted that in? Like, the hellscape stuff? Do you know what I mean? Where there's some more, like, really bright red, like, rusty red areas. We can have some of that here. But I'm kind of letting it spread out so that it sort of, like, optically mixes with the black underneath or the dungeon gray underneath. Just a darker thing. Because this paint's pretty transparent anyway, so it's going to help you. Like, again, it's going to be patchy no matter what, so we're just leaning into that. You know, if we wanted to get an opaque, deep lava, it would take a lot of coats. But here, we're just like, we chose this paint, so we're using its strengths, you know? And this is why I'm wearing an apron, is because when you're going fast, you have a 360 piece, right? So I'm holding it on the paint. This is also why I like it to be patchy. Or I like that it's patchy, because you don't have to worry about like pulling paint off with your hands, because you just want it to be that way anyway. If you pull a little bit off, it actually works okay. Yeah, that sounds about right for sculpt count. So all of these here have some of this on here, so I'll start with that on the rest of these. I'm gonna do just one of each, and maybe we can try some different stuff on the others. We'll see how much time we have. But you can see I didn't even like prime this evenly. I just got one coat on. There's You can see some of the resin underneath from the prototype, but that's okay because it helps us get that variance anyway. And the barricade is mostly just the core scheme on this inside part. You don't gotta be precise, really, because you're gonna cover a lot of this up. So I like how this ended up. It was kind of fun to sort of like decipher Toby's sculpt of like, okay, which areas am I going to paint? Where am I going to break it up? Because there's so much paneling. You could kind of go a number of different ways here. But I like how there's sort of the inner shell and the outer shell. So it's like the core, like kind of bunker spaceship type pieces, but it's fortified with like an eggshell type metallic thing. I like how that turned out. I had quite a bit of moisture here at the beginning, so I'm just going to do one more once over just to make sure we have enough to leave behind. So you can see it ends up pretty dark. Like when the paint's wet, it looks even kind of bolder and brighter than it's going to look when it's dry. But even off the bat, you can tell it's kind of going to end up fairly dark. Space nerd! I should have seen that coming. Inspiring apron action. My hands get so messy painting the 360, and I started wearing an apron at work, so like I have to have one here because otherwise I'm gonna like habitually wipe my hands on my clothing. Oh, deep lava it's probably my favorite color in Picorni paints. I use it for so much. I think just in general, if I want to do something brown-ish, I like kind of leaning into a specific color personality, and I prefer the red-brown anyway. And this is just like a great version of it. I mean, I used it all over Hellscape. You want to be a space nerd like Nate, you got to kick up your game. I didn't have my costume at home. I should have thought of something. You're right. I should have at least done like tinfoil on my head or something. Next paint stream. I'm gonna mute real quick just to hair dry this deep lava. One moment. Alright, even my hair dryer's pink. I love this friggin' thing. I want to get one of these at the office. It's called like a gem, and it folds. It's my girlfriend's. It just had it in the bathroom here. It's like a travel hair dryer. I don't know. I didn't know I had such preferences for hair dryers for hobby, but like the switch is really exact. Like my one at work now is like kind of a wheel, and so like I always like by trying to turn it off, I turn it on to high, and I like scare myself. I don't know. This thing, it gets like hot really quickly, which my hands don't always like, but it does the job very fast. Anyway, this is not a hair dryer review show. If you were looking for that, I apologize. It's not this one. But here's our blue gray. If you have a lot of Picorni paints and you want to mix this, it's like half base gray, half blue, and then like a couple drops of black. And so this dry brushing step is a lot of fun too, because again, there is no need for precision by design. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna get my biggest freaking brush. Like, these are ones that I use. I think it's like 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch wide, inch wide. I'm gonna use the biggest one. So this starts going real fast. Hey, Gilded Poison, thanks for the sub. 42 months, god dang. Incredible. So, again, this is fairly wet still. So, what I'm kind of thinking about, I'm going to use my finger to rub off. There is a little too much on there. That's okay, though. I'm like kind of crisscrossing directions. So I'll kind of start like at this angle, and then you see that this corner didn't get enough, but I'm letting the texture crisscross, so it creates little patches like this, right? I'm trying to get it so you can see. So I'm kind of thinking like in X's, and you can always like take a once-over glance at your piece, and if you don't like a patch, just do like another swipe over it. Look at that. Look at that. I got the whole side done already. Like, this is what it is. We're starting to lose paint, lose opacity. You can leave it, or get extra paint. I'm wiping it off like a dry brush, and just do like a single streak. So now it's kind of a gradient. Or if you want it heavier, just do the whole thing, you know? Like, you can really do this to taste. So you look at that kind of nice. Well, it's harder when it's wet, but you know, you can see, look at, there you go. See those nice little textures we get? Like, it was to the point where we were like, do we have to sculpt battle damage on the piece? And I was like, the paint is kind of doing it, you know? I'm just going, you don't have to avoid any of these things, because if we're going to paint right over the details that'll get painted, and it otherwise just gets the base cut. So you see how there's like quite a big stretch of the red here? That's a little too much. Just give it once more, kind of cut that area in half, and it looks like two smaller patches, and it breaks it up nicely. So once you get in the swing of it, and you kind of know like the sort of area you want the effect to be in for your pieces. Now this is dried. It's fairly you know, thin on the blue gray back here. So we don't have to do all of it, but we'll just do like one crisscross. And see how many different like variations we got from that. This one's fairly opaque. It gets a little dustier here and here, right? So, but when you're batch painting, which that I meant to say this, when I'm sitting there hair drying it, if you're doing a large batch, you're not gonna need to worry about that, because you'll have enough pieces where they should be dry as you go down the line with the step. But you know, once you get in the swing of things, this is so fast. You know, just crisscross, crisscross, right? And that's it. I hardly even think about it once I get in the habit. Right? Give it a glance, and you're done. You're already ready for detailing. Just 2 steps for the main piece. One thing I would like to point out, I kind of did this habitually because I've painted so many of these, but sometimes I kind of stab the edge of my brush into this crack because I personally don't love it. Like, it's easy for that to just stay completely red in the middle and it kind of looks too much like a line to me. But if you like that effect for like a really differentiated recess, you can totally leave it, but I just sort of give it a stab into that recess there. One more. I'm just changing the direction that I'm brushing the brush. It's sort of a dry brush amount of paint, sort of not. Just look how weathered that looks, just with 2 steps. I suppose we will do this ramp here. I'm similarly going to mix a slightly darker deep lava. I'm just throwing some of the black prime in there. I don't necessarily think you are going to need this step for your factory pieces. The main reason I'm doing it here, before I do a metallic, it's basically a one-step scheme. It's basically just your metallic all over. The biggest reason is the color of the resin prototypes. You see how we have like all these patches of that yellow showing through? It's going to be, you're kind of still going to see that if you just do a straight metallic over it. Because metallics are fairly transparent. So you still could add the step for that reason, where it might get it to look opaque a little bit faster and you're not doing like so many coats of the metallic. But do a test piece and see like which result you prefer. So I'm just going to do a darkened deep lava everywhere. Mostly just because of the prototype color. Again, I'm not even worried about it because it's like, it's not like the core scheme that we just did where you're leaving it behind on purpose. This is all going to get covered up. This is just to help you get that opacity. So I'm not even worried about necessarily being fully opaque. I just mostly don't want to see that yellow resin underneath. But I'm grabbing the wet paint with my hands, like I'm pulling some of it off. It's not going to be perfect because we don't need it to be. I just want it to be fast. Dry brushing to the drum beat, yeah. Yeah, dry brush hero. Trying to keep the rhythm. Alright, I'm gonna hair dry again, one moment. I almost forgot to do it on this piece. This is kind of fun because this piece is basically just both schemes together. Like the sort of fortified parts are the catwalk scheme, and the inside panels are the core scheme. Alright, so for the metallics on the catwalk piece, which also exists on the barricade here, it's just a mix of your silver and bronze. Leaning more on the bronze, because the silver, our silver's really bright. So I don't want it necessarily to look bronzy, but I want it to be like a warmer metal, sort of like a space alloy type thing. Like, I don't want it to look bronze, I want it to be slightly brighter than that usually. But I've noticed that I do end up adding quite a bit more bronze than silver, probably at least 3 to 1, just because that silver is really powerful in the mix. But yeah, my first instinct was to do like your regular kind of cool silver, steely silver. But then as soon as we put it on top of the core pieces that are also that cool gray, it kind of started to disappear. So I'm really glad we went this way. Like, I was hesitant. I was like, if I warm it up, it's gonna start to look bronze. But I love how it turned out, because it totally like pops off of the core pieces really nicely. And so in the context of like a large build, there's some really neat variety. And this is just a dry brush, just to your taste, opacity, right? Look at that, nice and quick. This is just all over. This is the whole scheme. Once you get your mix down, it's hard to light it, but you just mix up a big old batch of this and you're done, basically. It's one step. So these are very easy, very simple. And like, if you already have metallics that you like, you know, have at it. You can do them silver or some other metallic that you think would be cool. That's it, it's done. You want a light touch on the catwalk texture, just because it's not super duper deep, but I like how fine it is. And even when I paint this, and when the factory paints this, there's going to be some areas that maybe get a little paint in those recesses, But it doesn't hurt it very much, really. Like, you can kind of see the variance going down between these, right? But as soon as it's on the table, the sculpt really just helps you. There's like natural shadows happening in between, so you can't even hardly tell when those little things happen. So there's no part of this that is precise, which makes it really fun and breezy and fast. Even back here, you want a little bit of that shadow, maybe. But again, it's sculpted like so nicely that like you're gonna get that natural shadow just with the 3D of the piece. So I'm pretty much just thinking to myself, I'm going all over with this. Again, there's some flat areas. If it does streak, I'm getting some wet red in there. But yeah, if you get like a streak or something, just let it dry for a half second, go over it again, and you can kind of erase it just by varying your direction again, your crisscrosses. Gonna hit this again real quick. I'm not sure what the situation with Prime is. Yeah, these bumps back here, this is from 3D printing. A lot of the prototypes are 3D printed, so this is smooth. Even these back here have them. There's some kind of that chicken skin, but those won't be on the final pieces. Oh, you can't prime sub from mobile? Oh, that might do it. Oh, browser and laptop, huh? You have to click a button for Prime subs now? Okay. I have not watched Twitch in a long time, except for the launch streams and stuff. So here I'm just kind of going over, getting a little more opacity, but you can stop this step whenever you want. It's just this one color all over, letting the sculpt do the work. You just want it to be metallic. Buttons very well. 3D printing looks like hammered metal to me. Yeah, I can see that. You got these nice notches that are designed to like let your base, the base of your mini, sit on it. This is a metal one too. Just as I said that. This is a heavy boy. But yeah. Sitting like that on the notches. What occurred to me just tonight as I was priming these up is, you know, the paint adheres to Dwarvenite pretty well. It might be a good idea to varnish like this hinge spot, and with these two in particular. Just because there's going to be movement. So if you just do a quick little varnish on the top, transparent layer. I'm glad you like the schemes. Yeah, it was fun. The kind of core gray, the like warm, cool contrast came from when Chris had me paint some of the new Star Wars Shatterpoint terrain. You know, I kind of did like that classic khaki, like Star Wars color, and then the neutrals between that. I was gonna do like a gray, but I was like, I want it to be interesting. So I did this warm, cool thing, and then it occurred to me finally to way too long after that to do it on Starforged. So this is kind of neat. Like, there's enough of this raised part here. If you just hit it with this perpendicular angle, it's really easy not to hit that middle part. So an area like this is probably one where you'll have to be maybe more careful than usual. But look at this brush I'm using. Like, it's all beat up. So it's still like not a super precise job. You can decide how, you know, precise and patient you want to be. I'm not very patient. So what I'll do is just like get it as neat as I can while moving pretty quickly. And then when we have like something like this, I just have some of my core blue-gray on the palette still, or I'll put out an extra drop for the end. And I'll just do a dot. You can do it fully opaque, because when it dries, it's just going to be part of like the irregular pattern, right? So I find it's faster to like not really worry so much about the precision of this, and then just patch it up at the end. Which it looks like I forgot this back here. Again, I'm kind of just doing a perpendicular thing to let the texture take the paint right off and let the recesses show. Kind of almost fully sideways, just doing some of this. That piece has trash chutes on it? Maybe there's a pole accessory hole up here that can be like a trash cannon on the top. Maybe one of these days. You guys went crazy with the supports on this 3D prints? Yeah, I'm not in the know on that. I have not done any 3D printing myself, but they've been printing these for quite a while now, so there's some science to it. Where, you know, because it has to be like it can't warp at all, or we want to minimize it because it has to be straight. So that's probably why. I think a lot of the times there's just like an auto support button that they try first, Miles and Tyler, and then like adjust to taste based on results of prints. And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of like how this is working out as a batch scenario. We did all the areas that have these colors at the same time. We switched to this one, which made us almost finish this piece. There's just one more little bit for the barricade, and then we're done with it. The accent. What color is it on these? I think it's yellow. I've done so many colors. I don't have a specific like color for the accents. A lot of them are kind of mixed, but you can imagine like the color of like computer LEDs. You know what I mean? Your kind of cyan, your red, your yellow, whatever, like bright glowy stuff. So you could use stuff like lava yellow. There's plenty of green with yellow that you can mix up. This one will have red and cyan here, so we'll just mix it up. I use things like Bubbles Blue with a little white or something, but you can pull from your hobby paints, I think, for the accents, because they're really small, and then you can kind of customize how you like. I might need a little more precision. Oh, nice. These got adjusted. Okay, so the first version of this. Oh, this is so easy. Look at that. Again, perpendicular to the little triangle. Just a quick swipe. That's it. I'm so happy with that adjustment. Originally, they were flush, so I kind of had to draw the shape almost freehand. And so I said, why don't we, if we can, raise that up, and then look how freaking easy that is. Bang, bang, bang. You're done. That's the barricade right there. So this, I mean, probably has the most colors on it, because it has the two, well, maybe not. It's still 4 colors, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, including the accent. So it's not too bad. But just getting this precision with the breakup of the areas, that's probably the hardest, part of painting the Starforged pieces that I can think of. And it's not so bad, I hope you can see. Very easy to patch up, because the mistakes will probably be on here, which wants to have the variance anyway, so there's no mistakes with patching it up. The square panels on the slanted part? Oh, like a trash chute right here? That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's nice. That's some of the best. I kind of like the darker, mid-gray, blue-gray. And so these little pops everywhere just really finish up the piece. So you can imagine at table view, that really, really pops, I'm working on a spreadsheet that's an integrated batch painting plan across most non-space DF stuff. I've got a lot of unpainted from restocks and wildlands. That's cool. I mean, that really is the thing, is creating a process. Whatever keeps you efficient, keeps you going. Once you know the step-by-step, you can just kind of execute and get a lot done very quickly. And you sort of get in the Zen, flow state. Okay. Gonna get a little silver going. I don't use for the core silvers and stuff, I don't use the Sassoul silver right out of the pot. Again, because it's really bright. And so I thought for this, it should kind of be grimy, almost greasy sort of metal. So you can put in any kind of grimy colors. I normally add a little blue to keep it steely, but then a bit of brown to muck it up a little bit. Am I going crazy? I'm missing something here on my desk at home. Here we go. So again, you can do this with your Sassoon silver. Add blue, add brown just a touch. Again, you don't want it to go bronzy. But you don't want it to be like a super clean, like factory, straight out of the factory sort of silver. And I'm not even super exact with this, honestly. Like the factory, we're gonna have like a master, right? Like it'll be within a range. But when I'm mixing a large batch, you know, the metallic already has a varied effect with the lighting, with how it's like how you hold it, the light reflects off it. So you don't have to be super precise with your recipe even. I just like put a couple drops of the silver, add some of the mucky colors. It kind of looks like this on the palette. You know, it's not like your bright silver, but it's still silver. It still lives in the silver world. But it's not clean. We want to avoid clean. So again, it's all working your perpendicular angles and letting the sculpt grab the paint. You know, this is recessed, so it's a little tricky, but again, once you start going on your batches, you're going to get this down so fast. And as long as I'm looking at the side here, I'm going to get this other pipe, but just the side that I'm looking at. That's kind of how I strategize my batch painting. Is like, I'm going to do everything that I can see from this angle, basically. So when I flip it over, I know I haven't missed anything on that side. Same thing over here. And this is why you can kind of see like my silver got in the very recess. So you can see at that angle there, like that, right? So sometimes I almost like don't even paint the whole entire pipe. I just hit that angle, hit the topmost part so it looks like it's fully painted, but I don't want the shimmer to get to the recess. So I'll like just kind of leave a border almost that's not painted metallic, but you don't notice that it's unpainted because it has the other colors on it. But it sort of is blending in as a shadow instead of being shimmery, where it kind of, if you look closely, you can see it. Now, among a large build and a large collection, heck, even a small collection, I just mean among other pieces, you're not going to notice that at all. Normally hit one detail like this. In the past, I've done this picked out in silver, this picked out in silver. You know, you can kind of do whatever you like as you're painting. Kind of just at every angle, I like to have something picked out. This plane, even these up here on the top plane. Just pick on one thing. That's was kind of my philosophy. At each plane of the piece, from the top-down view. From here we have a couple, and then back here we're going to have these big old pipes, plus the magnet right here. So I like how that turned out. You kind of put the magnet on a detail that we painted silver, so it kind of blends in. Right. And then these pipes, I put it in the catwalk metallic. Alright. Finish the rest of this pipe. There we go. There we go. And then the inside here, probably on the core pieces, this will be the most precision. But again, it really is just how you hold the brush at an angle to the piece, to the detail itself. And that's what helps you with the precision. Don't ever gotta feel like you're drawing you're drawing the border, you know? If you're having trouble with a specific detail, try changing the angle. That's what I do in all these. Like this pipe here, have it here, but if you look at it, the top part's kind of unpainted. I'm going to switch the angle. And my brush hand is doing the exact same motion. Light touch, so the uppermost grabs the paint. And it's finished out. Don't forget the sides of the little wire boxes. And I sometimes hit the top just because on the interior view, that's the top. And sometimes I don't even paint the bottom, because when you're looking at this detail, you can't even see it. Just the bottom of this little box. I almost just skipped that, because you can't even see it. Oh yeah, and once again, on every plane, pick out a thing, so... That's kind of what was interesting about this, was like, okay, there's a lot of details sculpted, which is very cool. I just got a little extra paint on the recesses here, so I'm just taking a damp brush and sponging it out. You don't even have to necessarily not paint them, because again, that's a thing that natural shadows from the 3D are gonna make them look recessed anyway. Well, what was I saying? Yeah, just like picking out which details to paint. Like originally there were more or less details picked out on all the doodads here. But we were kind of looking at photo references of, like, you know, the inside of a NASA spaceship where it's just like crowded, overwhelmingly so, with all like the gizmos. And so I thought just picking out a few and letting the others sort of be kind of fade into this like amorphous, right, like space wall of those details kind of simulates that a little bit. And it's easier, you know, for the factory and for painters to work it out. Oh, so you're going across like all DF at once. I commend you for that. You're at base wood for like everywhere that base wood exists. The woods, the buildings. That's impressive. The number of times you realize I'm missing one side of a piece that I think I'm done with, yes. Yes. I've done that so many times. That's why, like, part of my process that I implemented was like, when you're holding it, hold every single piece in the batch the same way. So I know that this side is going to be a different step, the back side. So I have to make sure that I flip it over to this bottom because I'm not holding onto that. So don't forget that one. And I just do the same sides of every single one. And I think I explained this on the painting video too, but like if you're finding that you're missing stuff, break the step up even more. So a lot of times what I do is like, okay, I'm just doing the interior. The silver, just doing the interior. And then I call that a step, even though it's the same step. But it's like, okay, I'm just doing this detail on all my batch. Just doing this one. And then call that a step. I know that's done. Finish the pipes. The exterior pipe. Just do that part. And that's a step. So I found like breaking the steps into more sub-steps helps me like not forget stuff too. I would have to paint several pieces before I would allow myself to leave some barely noticeable parts unpainted. I agree, and I think I've hit that point. I don't want to know how many hundreds of these pieces I've painted. But I found little things like that to say I'm gonna forget that part. Once I hit number 300 or whatever. How many of these have you painted? Like 5? Yeah, thereabouts. Like, I don't know, 5 or 50. I couldn't tell you that. This chipped just a little bit. These prototypes are pretty fragile. But again, it's really easy to fix because you don't... Once it dries, it's going to disappear into varied pattern. And how many have you painted, Chris? Good question. Hey, I'm happy with Chris's painting though, because he has been painting his Warhammer. I don't get my hands dirty. Yeah. Oops. I should have some gloves at home. But that's why I at least have the apron on. I need to paint those gnaw holes. Yeah, those things look awesome, and they're so good. They just like let you teleport and stuff. It's wild. Is Screech one of the big vermin lords? Okay. Gloves are for the weak. I've been this year, or like last year, like the past 12 months, I've been really trying to like clean my hands before I go home, because I spent the last 6 years with just like always having dried paint on my hands. Because acrylic paint, you know, like I'm washing my hands and stuff, obviously, right? Like cooking, using the restroom, whatever. But like once the acrylic paint dries, you gotta start scrubbing to get some of that off. Like in your nails and everything, you gotta like pick that out. You can't just like, it's gonna come out just by living life. But I came to a point where I was like, I don't know, maybe I should care about that. So I don't just have like dried paint everywhere all the time. I think he makes the most sense to me as my first one. Heck yeah, the named one, the unique one, for sure. My Orc Vulture is the named caster, instead of just like the killer boss. What's next? You'll make me wear gloves while handling your food? Yeah, imagine these hands handling your food, you know? Because they handle my food and I don't think twice about it, but I'm like, yeah, maybe I should. I'm already licking my brush, I guess, so if I'm eating the dried paint. Hello, Frida, welcome. I have a brush for scrubbing my hands next to the sink. Had to deal with old paint stuck under nails so many times. Yeah. I need like a dish brush or a sponge or something, but like it has to be designated for that, so you're not done washing dishes with it. Been too busy playing Baldur's Gate 3 lately to paint. I have yet to launch the game, because I know once I do, I'll be obsessed, so. I've had it since the early access, and I've yet to launch it a single time. I don't know why that is. I should have played the early access at least once, but lava soap? Is that a brand, or is that lava? It certainly would clean your skin, because your skin would no longer exist. Need window walls ASAP? Heck yeah. Oh, did you figure it out? Okay. Well, thanks for going through all that work. Criminy. Okay. You know what I wanted to do? I hope this is helpful, because I'm kind of chatting and like fiddling with this. So I'm going to do a piece like in batch mode, so you can see like how quick it can be. So I think what I might do is get my paints on the palette. Gonna get basically my three colors. Your deep lava, your blue-gray here, and the silver. And I'm gonna mute so I can use the hairdryer, because when you're batching you won't have to, you can just wait for stuff to dry in between pieces. But I'm gonna mute just so I can like batch it for you. Just so you can see how quick this goes, because it really is forgiving and fast. How much of this do we have? Okay. Alright, especially if you get brave enough to use like the giant brush, which I recommend you do, because I mean, this isn't even big for Dwarven Forge. You know what I mean? Especially if you're doing like escarpments and whatnot. Even the 2x2, like, this is the brush. So especially with that, but I've done plenty with brushes this size too. And it's still fast. There's the mid-size. Okay. Let me get a new paper towel, and then we'll come back and like, do this in batch mode. 1 second. Oh, I have one right here because I was eating at my desk, so I wanted to cover my mouse pad. Okay. Okay, here we go. No problem, Mr. Feelgood. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, so I'm gonna show you, like, no talking. Just, like, get the appropriate brush, a size that's gonna help you, and see how quickly we can get this done. For the metals, like, I have a smaller brush, but, like, it's not even, it's blunt. Like, it's not even a precise brush. We can still get it done. Alright, here we go. So if you see it go off screen or something, I'm probably just hair drying it, which you won't have to do in a big batch. Okay, here we go. So that is everything minus like the color accents we're gonna do. But for your core scheme, like that's the bulk of it right there. Right? Like it goes very fast. Just let yourself, you have to like give in to the variance, right? Don't stop, don't fix stuff, because it's not gonna matter in the end. You know, it's gonna come together with a bunch of pieces that are doing this varied thing. So just don't be too precious about it. Just continue the progress. Continue forward. Again, you can always patch it. You have your blue-gray. You have your blue-gray. If there's something that's really bothering you, just like in here. I got a little metal in there. Okay, we'll put the blue-gray in there. Done. Quick opaque patch. Right? So you can get through this step. And then the fun part is adding all the cool colors, right? Which is to taste. You can switch it up. You can do custom. So this is the bulk of the scheme that we just did. Fairly quickly. Thank you, thank you. And like, obviously I've painted a lot of these, but you will have too once you start going through your collection, right? You're gonna get in this rhythm. What helps me is do everything in the same order. Do everything in the same order. For example, I'm gonna start with the sides of the metal. Make sure side, top, back. Here, just let your go into autopilot. Do everything in the same order for each piece. So for here, what I did on factory was red on this plain light, and then this is sort of like kind of that cyan, so it could be a digital screen or it could be like a glass lens, like a little gauge type thing, right? So like, you know, I'm using my regular hobby hang paints. You know, you can use whatever you like for this. I'm just adding like a touch of white to the blue sort of thing. The capsule bed and the console is the same scheme. And that's really easy because it's just straight Picorni paints. You start with a base of cardboard, and then you dry brush Caverns dry brush on top of it. And that gets that white accessory color. Sometimes I like to water this down just a touch, thin it down, just to really get into that sort of pocket that's sculpted there. And because our, you know, base coat that we did is fairly dark, what you can also do if you like, I skipped a step on prototypes. I get my most like matte opaque paint that I have for this, and I just put a lot of paint, like I overpaint it so that I can just do it in one step and it's opaque. If you want, especially for a couple favorites, you can get any bright color like a white or an ivory or even something like Stone Edge Dry Brush or Caverns Deep or something, and just give it an undercoat of bright. Let it dry completely, so if you're doing this over a large batch, you know, you won't have to really think about that. But this will help it stay bright and kind of glowy. If I wanted to paint the panels on my walls, like things like this, I would just start here, because your panels are kind of on top of this core scheme, right? So just get them to here. And then if you want to pick out panels, do that at the end. And just paint cardboard, and you're going to take your cardboard, and for instance, if I'm painting something like this, keep it perpendicular, to let you don't feel like you're drawing. Don't be like this. This is what I mean by drawing. I'm trying to draw the border, and my brush is going inward, which works against me because I don't want it on the recess. But if you do it perpendicular, light pressure, you'll just let it catch. So just do cardboard like that, and then caverns like that. Slightly less on the brush, slightly less paint on the brush for caverns. And that'll do it. But yeah, do it after this scheme, after this color, probably. Does that answer your question? Is that what you're imagining? Is this Battle Hammer 39K? Is that a new specialist game? By, Contest Forge? I couldn't do a Games Workshop parallel. Oh, yes. That's like keys for like all my mini painting and especially terrain and like dry brushing and stuff. Like everything. This is going to help you so much painting any mini. It's just think of those perpendicular angles. Like that's an advantage of painting something 3D as opposed to painting on a canvas or something, right? Like use that to leverage your painting. So for comfort and for endurance, keep your paint hand the same. Like find the most comfortable position, and what should change is the piece, right? So what I mean by that is don't start doing things like this as much. You can, but you don't want your wrist to come out. You want to maintain like your precision with this hand. So change the angle of the piece. If this is like kind of at rest, comfort, keep it there and change the angle of the piece to get the perpendicular. You're gonna adjust a little bit. But I just mean don't be doing like stuff like that. Change the piece before you change the brush. Perpendicular angles. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, you don't have to have steady hands. You have to steady your hands. Okay? Create points of contact. If you're getting a shaky brush. Forearms on the table. On the edge of the table. Look at the face cam here. On the edge of the table. Rest your forearm on the table. Another point of contact. Heels of your hands. Another point of contact. Pinky on the piece. Right? Now all of a sudden this right here, this isn't going to be shaky at all. Because you created a bunch of points of contact. So this plus perpendicular angles, you're going to feel so much better about painting. This is just a stellar partnership between the sculpting and paint scheme design. Yeah, it really worked out. It really worked out well. It was great to have a little back and forth because, you know, for the sci-fi, we were doing some more like digital concepting and stuff. So it was, and Tyler has been huge, and Aaron T have been huge on getting the 3D tech, and Miles getting the 3D tech up and running. It's been so awesome to like print out a prototype of a prototype, paint it, see how it works, you know, that we can go back and adjust it easily. It's been a really cool process. Okay, so we have this white that's pretty much dry. Look how bright that is. Really easy. You don't even have it to have it entirely opaque because that white is doing some heavy lifting for you, right? Look how glowy it looks. Right? Originally I did paint these circles like silver first, but not a lot of it shows up. You can do that if you like to try to make this silver rim. What I'd probably do is, again, the perpendicular angle thing. I'm actually going to go to the blue-gray, the base coat, and try to hit that rim. Again, light pressure because you don't want the paint to go into this blue part. You just want it to hit the rims. It's a little tough. My brush is also not helping me. It's an old brush. Beaten up. But you get the idea. If you really want to do something like that. I've cut it. Because you can't really tell. Especially, I kind of like it, especially if you want it to be kind of glowing. It's almost like an OSL thing, like it's gleaming around the perimeter of the thing. But I mean, that's the piece. That's the piece right there. I should be painting my backlog now, but I'm lazy. I hear ya. I hear ya. You know, motivation kind of comes and goes, doesn't it? I was switching from my Warhammer to like assembling, which is funny because it's my least favorite part. But I was like, ugh, I don't really want to like think too hard, and I think a lot about the paint scheme, so like, I just want to follow this instructions, right, and like make some hobby progress. But so I was really enjoying building for a while actually. For the new, especially the new Cities of Sigmar, and I have the new Flesh Eater Courts. They're very cool. Frida, if you don't mind, let me do that on a future paint stream. That's probably going to be 2 Thursdays from now because I'm at Adepticon next Thursday. I don't have all of the DF paints with me at home. I have to take a select few nowadays. Because I don't paint very much at home anymore because it makes a big mess, and I live with another human being right now, and a dog also for that matter. And so I want to keep the place like nicer than it was when I painted at home. But yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Try to like remind me in the Discord if you're there or something, like in the upcoming stream, or put it in like suggestions or something. I think Chris and Nate and them are like keeping track of these. And we'll make sure to do that because I'm hoping that at the next paint stream we can do some of the accessories. So I'm gonna grab those paints, and we'll do the 2 accessory schemes, kind of the tan and the white, and so then we can throw it on. We can throw it on all these, right? No dog painting. Unfortunately, I think Dolly would let me. I never would, but she's not one to run from danger. She just kind of sits there like, I guess this is my fate. Like, just not 1 or 2 days ago, she was like sitting on the pants I wanted to wear, and I was like, Dolly, I have to wear these. And I'm trying to sort of like cue to her, like, I'm grabbing these pants, and she just, whoop, like her butt just went up as I pulled up the pants. She didn't even move a muscle. She's just like, I guess I'm floating now. Okay, yeah, Finley, thank you. Put it in the SF Pledge helper as a demo request. Relatable pup, yeah. It's like, why bother worrying anymore? Everything's on fire. Just accept your fate. Honestly, if there's one thing, I've lived with this dog for a year now. She and I have a lot of similarities. Any like stray noise, we're like, huh? What? Oh dear. She's delightful. I should be packing for the weekend. What's happening this weekend your way? So close to the next stretch goal. Where are we at now? Oh, we have one more to do. We have this module. I'll tell you, this is one of my favorite pieces. It can be scatter. It can be like a corner fill of walls. You know? It works great. Vertical, horizontal. I don't know. It's just one of my favorite pieces. Like, you can make them cover, you can make them like the outside of an exterior sort of footprint. Like, I just throw those all over the place. So let's do this. $340, nice. That's the best piece of the collection. I agree. This is my favorite. This is my absolute favorite. And I actually haven't painted one yet that has the hole here. So it's kind of fun. Let me kind of get some of this action in here. There's a little patch that you wouldn't have to worry about, but I have some of the yellow resin, 3D print resin showing, so. Okay. This I just like paint it almost entirely. Like you can try to dry brush scratch that if you want, but I usually just for speed, like get it all over, don't care about it too much. I just want it to be silver, and I think it looks okay. But you could, there's a nice recess sculpted there. I think enough of it shows up with the natural shadows, but you could get a little dry brushy with that if you like. Again, this is just the perpendicular angle. Can always patch up any mistakes really quickly with your blue-gray. And the original one had one more detail back here. You can pick something out here if you like, but we switched it for the accessory hole, so I think that's going to be a core blue. And that's it for that. Except for our accent, which I started throwing some green around on certain pieces, so I usually brighten it up with a little yellow, like it's a really kind of glowy, like old computer screen type green, or like a stoplight green or something. So this one is like not raised or anything, but I don't think it's terribly difficult. Just get the angle of the brush correct, use light pressure, and you should be okay. Kind of like, sort of like ghost the motion, like practice the motion over it without hitting the piece until you do, and that's how you know how much pressure you need. So I'm just not hitting it until I am. There you go. Right? Just sort of ghost the motion over it. But again, you have your blue-gray on the palette. There's a tiny, tiny touch that I just did with the green. Patch it up. Patch it up. Patch up that silver. And there you go, that's that. Hamster's ergonomics of painting would make a great YouTube short. That's not a bad idea, because it's like not really a whole video. I mean, I guess if you really got into it, you could do a whole video, but it is a pretty good short idea. The side pipes, yeah, those are cool. I like those a lot. So here we have different colors of accents on all these. Right? Get the whole gamut. Somebody asked about like weathering some of the metal and stuff, so we'll do some of that. My first instinct isn't to do, it's kind of just doing what I normally do, I think. Just you kind of water it down so it's kind of like a wash, but you do like a selective wash. But I don't think there's like any weird trick you have to do with Starforged. But anyway, we'll try out a couple things. So I just water down some orangeness, which I would probably do if you're doing your pipes more silvery. If you do this worm on this worm factory scheme, well, it still shows up pretty well. But you just like let it flow into the recesses, but you also can let it go outside of it because it's going to dry more thinly. So you'll have a couple different, you know, heavier and lighter rust. And then you can even take your deep lava. I have some of that here. For like the older rust, like this thick, fresh orange rust is good, but you can also just do some deep lava nearby. It's like that darker. Maybe something like terracotta dry brush would be good. But if you're, just for that, kind of similar to these core colors, just to get a warm, cool variance or contrast, on a color like this, I'd probably just for interest's sake, not necessarily because it's scientifically accurate, but you know, we're in fantasy land or sci-fi land, so I'll do like that blue oxidization, blue-green. So I'm literally just mixing it and like putting brushfuls of my paint water into the mix to make it more flowy. Same thing, you know, it's pretty transparent, right? I kind of drag it over the thing. You can let it sort of drip like that, right? If it's a little heavy, you can just get straight up water, push it around. Oh, don't let the droplet of doom get you though. A lot of times I tap my side of my hand because sometimes after you rinse it, there's like a drop of water. Let me see if I can see that drop of water. The droplet of doom. It's hiding underneath. It always hides until it's waiting to strike. And then when you do that, it's eventually gonna fall. You're literally hiding from the camera, you freaking thing. Now it's on the end of my brush. See that? So a lot of times I end up almost subconsciously like just tapping it on my hand to pull that off. But anyway. Just let it flow into those recesses and kind of push it around. You can wipe off the paint and start pushing it around, because as you draw out the paint, it will get thinner, so it's not going to be even. So you'll get that patchy effect of heavier spots, right? I'm not 100% on that, Dragos, but I don't think there's any, like, extra difference between the two. It's just like, what does it cost to manufacture? And it's based on that. It's not like, oh, for this reason we're gonna do a different thing. It's like, it's all just based on the cost of producing it. It's my understanding. It's hollow because you have to have like the battery and stuff in there. Oh, the accessory wall? Or are you talking like the LED wall that's like hollow inside? Or because the accessory wall is solid, right? There's just that inner part. Are you talking about like the little closet thing? I think it's just meant to be like a little nook. So you could say like it's an area for your players to investigate or something, or maybe it's hidden so you could put like a module in front of it, and it's like, oh, there's like actually a compartment behind that or something. Yeah, the alcove, yeah. The biggest thing was having enough room to put the biscuit hole right here, like on where that thick part is, so you can put stuff, accessories on it. Yeah, because to put a biscuit hole on that top part, you have to have enough thickness for it. So like these have plenty of thickness, right? So we wanted to put it, if you wanted to put an accessory like on the interior, you know, we needed enough dimension for that. But I believe that it is designed like the square around the alcove is designed to like be the same size as something like this. So these are kind of compatible in a way. And stuff, little things like that. Well, there was like a photo that I saw in the Discord where Chris said the cat's out of the bag, where you saw the little bulb, right? Or did I just spoil it? I'm sorry. Oh, not been shown the piece. Okay, okay. Okay. No, we knew? Okay. I was like, oh. That's one of the hardest things to keep track of, like, what everyone knows and what they don't. So one thing you can also do, if you take your same color but you don't water it down, I'm going back to the weathering stuff here. But if you use like thicker paint, you can kind of like get sloppy with it and sort of paint on the piece, I like to call it, like you're going to manipulate the effect on right on the piece. So if you just, here we did like a really thin subtle thing. You do a big spot, a lot of paint, get a lot of paint on there, rinse your brush, you just have moisture, maybe a slight amount of paint left on it, but then you're just pushing it around. Just pushing it around, you get a lot more like coverage. Use your finger even, pull some of it off. To be gentle with this, you don't want to like literally rub the undercoat off. But you can just push this around as much as you like. Just from like having the paint start on the piece, kind of, you know. But that's what I love about the red on the core is like, it's like weathering and like that two-tone contrast. I don't know. It does like multiple things at the same time. Like it gives a little interest to the shadow and it is slightly darker than the gray, but it's also like weathering. And no way we were going to space without LEDs. Come on. Yeah, you're right. You're fine. No beans spilled. All right. I don't think it'd be a huge problem, but the hobby hang you know, regulars get special extra treats, but I'd be fine with that. Push that up a little bit. Well, I suppose with our last 15 minutes, maybe we can like approximate an alt scheme for this. Or you know what'd be cool? Definitely do an alt thing. But actually, this occurred to me as we were going, is what if we just like kept it the deep lava base, but that was like the main color, you know? So it's like a rusty red thing. This is a version I tried. Not on this piece, but on like the very, very first core pieces. Like this little shape? Like a solar panel? Or like, oh, this thing. Yeah. That'd be neat. That'd be super cool. That'd be easy too. Just like whatever color. Because again, this is raised up, so it's literally just perpendicular again. What color would that be? Like a silver or like a black? What could be really cool is like the interference paints that we use every so often. Like a shimmery colored paint, basically, like shiny blue. Yeah, that would be cool. Let's see, there's no way you'd want to do this like on every piece, but let's see if I can kind of non-metallic it a little bit. You know what I'm gonna say? Perpendicular. Right? Now it's easy. Look at that. Okay. Running out of paint on the palette. Yeah, I do like that idea. I'm definitely not like approximating interference here. That would be such a cool, easy way to do it though. But this is some kind of like interesting paneling now. We get real crazy with it. Because there's blue on the main piece, I'm gonna do something else once I finish the rest of this. I'm gonna go maybe kind of purple glaze to differentiate it, because right now this just looks kind of like a super highlighted version of the regular color, right? Did the little tap off of the droplet of dew. Not today, droplet of dew. Okay. I'm not sure about these brushes that I bought on Amazon. The $10 pack for 5 of natural hair brushes maybe was too good to be true. It's working in decently, but the tip's getting wacky on me. This other pack, though, where are they? All of these. It's like a $27 pack for like 4 or 5 different sizes. I think it was also on Amazon. 27? That's normally what I pay for like one of the like Raphael brand that I get. And these are holding up pretty okay, so I like that. For terrain, you're never gonna need a brush like this though, honestly. Okay. Do one last thing. Basically go in the opposite direction and glaze the shed over. Kind of neat. I don't know what this wouldn't necessarily be like a solar panel as we know it, maybe. But we could do something else here too. Different color, same technique. I'm going to go warm to make it come off of the cool gray a little more. some kind of like techie paneling sort of deal. Try some lava brand bar stuff to get the paint off your fingers. All right, I'll have to look into that. And then I'm gonna do one more thing. Let's get some worm in the highlight on that side again. Kind of a little reflection onto each. Kind of like a little specular highlight, like a reflection glint. Oh, this little tiny one we missed entirely. You've inspired me. I'm going bonkers now. Well, there we are. Oh, I've Fast Orange. I've used Fast Orange brand before. It's kind of similar. It has like grit in it. All right, that's kind of neat. Look at that. Couple different versions. I'm glad you like it. That was a neat idea. I still think like a black base coat really fast, the fast version, black base coat, your choice of interference would look awesome on that texture, that hex texture. That's a good idea to pick that out if you're doing a custom version. It's really neat. But yeah, I hope this has been helpful if you're kind of considering unpainted. These go real fast. This is a very forgiving scheme. All right, Gilded, see you later. I'm hopping off here too as well. It's about that time. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for following the campaign. For those of you that have pledged, thank you so much. And please continue. You know, we're doing streams, so many streams. So if you're curious, join the Discord. Take a look at all the YouTube videos. Video team has been super busy, and graphics with all the informational resources for you. Community is great. Hop in the Discord. Plenty of people to answer your questions. I believe I'm going to be doing another paint stream 2 Thursdays from now. Next weekend we're at Adepticon, so I will be there. But we should get another paint stream in. But thank you for hanging with me and checking out Starforged, and we will see you next time.